This is KOLO 8 News Now at 4:30, covering the news that matters to you.
Today on KOLO 8 News Now, the surprising ways scammers can take your money this tax season and the steps you can take to keep your identity safe. And another winter storm is on its way, when it will hit, and how it could affect your morning commute.
A unique solution today on KOLO 8 News Now, the program encouraging high school students to work in the medical field and the skill they already have that will improve Nevada's healthcare system. And expect delays, the road closures affecting your commute, the areas to avoid, and when the construction will be complete. Wind, snow, and flooding. A massive winter storm is blasting the East Coast. A look at the destruction it's causing and the reason officials say the worst is still to come. Plus, the Bay Area woke to an early morning earthquake the size of the quake and reactions from people who felt the jolt. An important conversation, expert advice on how to ask your boss for a raise and the reason it might help your career in the future. Plus, security alert, the phone U.S. intelligence officials are urging you to avoid, and the threat prompting the warning.
This is KOLO 8 News Now at 4:30, covering the news that matters to you.
Tense moments at a local school. The Washoe County School District confirms a Pine Middle School student is detained after being found with a weapon on campus. It's not clear yet what type of weapon. The school was placed on a code red lockdown just after 1 o'clock this afternoon. It was lifted within a half hour.
They just put over the intercom that there was a code red, and then our teacher locked the door and turned off the lights, and then we kind of just like hid behind the desks and stuff, and we did everything in our power to like not get hurt.
The district says all students and staff are safe. Classes resumed and students were released at the usual time. This is a developing story. We will continue to gather information and we'll have updates online at kolotv.com and throughout tonight's newscasts. The teen suspected of opening fire in a Florida high school, killing 17 people, made his first court appearance today. Omar Jimenez takes us inside the hearing and has new questions about what police knew about the suspected shooter. Lawmakers are responding to yesterday's deadly shooting. Democrats are calling for stricter gun control laws, which include expanded background checks and creating a committee to examine gun violence.
There's a lot we can do right now because many people will die. And while you're talking about assault weapons and some of the mass murders that we have seen so cruelly do violence to not only these children and their families and their classmates, but to the character of America, who we are as a country, tolerating such a thing and not preventing it.
Republican lawmakers are also responding. House Speaker Paul Ryan is defending legislation to allow nationwide concealed gun permits, which he claims is a good self-defense measure. Ryan is also blaming the Senate for not addressing loopholes in the instant background check system.
If someone who is mentally ill is sleeping through the cracks and getting a gun, because we have laws on the books, we have a system to prevent people who aren't supposed to get guns from getting guns. And if there are gaps there, then we need to look at those gaps.
For continuing coverage on the Florida school shooting, download the KOLO 8 News Now app. It's free for Apple and Android.
A code red lockdown has been imposed at Pine Middle School this afternoon.
A school scare, a student with a weapon prompting a code red lockdown at a local middle school.
That student is now in custody, and in an exclusive interview, his father speaking to KOLO 8 News Now about the incident.
And as Ed Pierce reports, he says his son is being bullied and is now paying the price.
The system that is failing to protect my son.
Where this case is headed isn't yet clear. Ed Pierce, KOLO 8 News Now.
Today's incident, of course, has parents on edge, especially after yesterday's school shooting in Florida. Here in our area, some are paying close attention to what happened in Florida and learning lessons that could help keep your child safe. Officials from the school district and local police say there's nothing new about this process. They say following any major incident, they look for any lessons which could be applied to improve prevention and response here. In 2013, a 12-year-old student brought a gun to Sparks Middle School, wounding 2 students and killing killing a teacher. That incident prompted some changes in school district policy and police response. Even though this latest shooting took place thousands of miles away, it too will be examined.
Our instructors take a look at what's going on locally, nationally, and globally in many cases, and adapt the lessons learned from those responses and those situations, and adapt those to our training methods and tactics here.
At some point in the weeks and months ahead, Gallup says agencies here will be in contact with Florida counterparts seeking those lessons. Local police and school district officials say this kind of examination has helped them better plan potential responses, prevention policies, and changes in the law. Virginia Street in Midtown is back open after a crash involving a Reno police motorcycle officer. It happened between California and St. Lawrence Avenue. Investigators say the motorcycle was hit by the driver of a Suburban. Police say the officer sustained non-life-threatening injuries and is expected to be okay. The crash is under investigation. An update to the accusations of racist bullying in Yerington. The two African-American sisters have filed a lawsuit in federal court alleging racism at Yerington High School and within the Yerington Police Department. KOLO 8 News Now was first to interview Charles and Nancy Tolliver, who say their daughters have been facing racial slurs at their school and on social media. The threats feature a male student posing with a knife and gun, using the N-word and saying it was time to go hunting. The Tollivers say school officials haven't been able or willing to put a stop to the taunts. According to attorney Terry Kaiser Cooper, the lawsuit filed today claims the school and police department violated the Civil Rights Act of 1964 by refusing to punish the harassers. It also requests the U.S. Department of Justice be brought in to review the situation and make recommendations. They also ask for the Lyon County School District to comply with the anti-bullying laws and provide mental health counseling for the girls. Attorney General Jeff Sessions plans to rescind a 2013 Obama-era policy which paved the way for legalized marijuana to prosper in states across the country, including here in Nevada. Sessions made the announcement today. The change is expected to allow for each state's U.S. attorneys to decide whether to aggressively enforce the federal marijuana law, even if it's already been made legal in their state. Recreational marijuana is legal in 8 states and the District of Columbia. The weed business has bloomed into a multi-million-dollar industry. Nevada Senator Catherine Cortez Masto spoke out against the decision, saying, quote, "In states like Nevada, voters have spoken loud and clear that marijuana must be regulated and taxed, and that the state should be able to enforce its marijuana laws without federal interference." She continued, "This administration is trampling on the will of Nevadans and creating unnecessary confusion for our state." Governor Brian Sandoval also responded to this morning's announcement, saying, quote, "I believe Nevada's marijuana industry is a model for other states. My staff and I will review the memo released this morning and our state options." Attorney General Adam Laxalt also released a statement saying, quote, "Although I opposed the Question 2 ballot initiative proposing the legalization of recreational marijuana in Nevada, I also pledged to defend the measure were it approved by the voters." The press release also stated that the Office of the Nevada Attorney General is reviewing the Department of Justice's letter and evaluating the ramifications for Nevada. Victims in the Las Vegas shooting can now apply for financial aid. The GoFundMe account established by Clark County Commissioner Steve Sisolak has raised more than $22 million. Most of the donations will be distributed to relatives of those killed in the shooting and victims whose injuries left them with permanent brain damage or paralysis. People who were physically injured and hospitalized before October 10th can also submit a claim. Claims will be accepted through the end of January. For more information on the Las Vegas Victims Fund and how to apply, go to kolotv.com and click Hot Topics.
Elko High School canceled classes today due to a possible threat against the school. School officials say they made the decision to close after an anonymous person reported the threat overnight. Elko County School District Superintendent Jeff Zander released a statement saying that the school district was working with local police to determine the credibility of the threat. Zander also stressed the importance of keeping students and staff safe. saying, quote, "Please be advised that throughout the year we are constantly evaluating systems to assure safety remains a top priority in our district. The vigilance of our parents, students, staff, and neighbors still remains the very best safety measure we have." The Washoe County School District also released a statement after at least 3 school threats received this week. In the statement, they said they are committed to keeping children safe and would not ask a child to come to school if there was a safety concern. The statement goes on to say, quote, "Our staff members and their families are part of this community too, and we understand parents' concern over school safety. When we receive information about any possible threat to a student or staff member, school police immediately launch an investigation, identify and question suspects, and take action to protect the safety of our children." Officials also say that many times information about these threats are spread on social media. They ask parents to report any suspicious activities directly to the school district. To get the latest on school safety and other news that matters to you, download the KOLO 8 News Now app. It's free for Apple and for Android.
A messy commute for drivers as the snow continues to fall in some areas. Right now, eastbound I-80 is closed at Mustang for a crash involving up to 20 vehicles, including semis and cars. It happened shortly after 2 o'clock this afternoon. Officials say at least 8 people were injured and taken to the hospital. Eastbound traffic is being turned around at Vista until further notice. And another major backup along I-580 at the Galena Creek Bridge because of a crash. This is a live look. You can see several cars at a standstill. NHP tells us 10 to 15 cars were involved in this incident, including a trooper who we are told is okay. No word on any other injuries at this time. So as you can see, this winter storm is causing slick roads this evening. We have team coverage. KOLO 8 News Now's Bridget Chavez is keeping an eye on the roads, but we begin with Chief Meteorologist Jeff Thompson, who has a check of your first alert forecast. Jeff.
I mean, we start with the snow we had this morning, and we got it all in the North Valleys as the storm that we had coming through didn't really come through. It got hung up. The evening commute slippery for what is on the ground and what continues to fall. It is pretty nasty out and about. KOLO 8 News Now's Bridget Chavez is up on Mount Rose Highway where it looks very winter-like.
Yeah, Jeff, the snow is definitely coming down up here. It's slowed down a little bit. If you're out on the roads, just drive slow. And again, chain controls are in effect out here on Mount Rose Highway. And we'll have more updates for you coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. But for now, Bridget Chavez, KOLO 8 News Now.
To get minute-by-minute interactive radar and road conditions at your fingertips, download our KOLO 8 News Now app. It's free for Apple and Android.